Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 12th April. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 19. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, IPL matches shifted out of Chennai. So this is protests which are going on and disruptions which is taking place in Chennai by fringe political parties. So this is because of the Kaveri water dispute issue. So on Kaveri issue, the central government is supposed to form the Kaveri Management Board according to the Tamil Nadu government's demand as such, but this has not yet been done, and that is why IPL matches, Indian Premier League matches in Chennai are being targeted. So now it has been decided that IPL matches would be moved out of Chennai. So they would not be held in Chennai. Pune will be the Chennai Super Kings' new home venue. So this is going to affect their performance too, because in home the team performs much better. So Chennai Super Kings actually have the best win record in the last 10 seasons. You can see it has 60.31% win record. And the number of matches which it has won in Chennai and outside are also shown. So this is the case. But then the next news item is, it is CGI's right to allot cases, Supreme Court. So a Supreme Court bench led by Chief Justice of India, Deepak Mishra, declared that the CGI is an institution in itself with exclusive prerogative to constitute benches and allocate cases. So we have been discussing this issue that earlier too the Supreme Court has ruled that CGI is the master of the roster. He will decide which case should go to which bench of the Supreme Court. So there was actually a petition filed that there should be some method through which, some procedure through which this should be done. So this actually petition has been dismissed by the Supreme Court bench now. The 3-judge bench led by CGI himself gave a 16-page judgment in which it said that there is no room for any presumption of mistrust against the high constitutional functionary. So you have to have trust and faith in the CGI. So this is the ruling of the Supreme Court. Earlier too, the Supreme Court had ruled, as I said, that CGIs have exclusive duty and authority as master of the roster to constitute benches and allocate cases to them. So we had seen that the next 4 senior judges in the Supreme Court had actually held a press conference on January 12, 2018, and here they had highlighted this issue at how the CGI was selectively allocating cases to preferred benches. So Justice Chilameshwar, who is amongst these 4 senior judges, has also said that during a public discussion that there needs to be transparency. If there is no transparency, it would lead to suspicion, and any suspicion is detrimental to the institution. So that is the point being made. Even this petition filed by Mr. Ashok Pandey also had highlighted that there should be a procedure, set procedure to constitute benches and allocate cases in Supreme Court and High Courts. But the Supreme Court ruling right now dismissing this petition is that there is a fundamental fallacy in this argument. Why? That because it is said that some cases should be heard by senior most judges. But the 3-judge bench presently says that all judges are equal in duty and power and they all speak for the court. So there is no bearing of seniority as such when cases are being allocated. All judges are the same. So this is the case. You can see the CGI, the details are provided about the Chief Justice of India and also the next 4 senior judges, senior most judges, the dissenting 4. Then next is, users own and control their data, Zuckerberg. So this is Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who has said before the American lawmakers that users use and control the data they share on Facebook. So this is regarding the controversy which erupted after Cambridge Analytica details came forth that this firm had used data of users on Facebook. So this issue has actually been criticized, and the Facebook CEO has also been called before the Congress. US Parliament is called Congress. So congressional hearings are taking place in which clarification is being given by Mark Zuckerberg. He said that Facebook is committed to ensuring the integrity of elections in countries like India, Pakistan and US. So this Cambridge Analytica firm misused the data on Facebook and tried to influence the users on Facebook to vote for a particular political party or not. So that kind of activity which has happened, it is affecting the integrity of elections. and even US presidential elections were affected. So it's been highlighted, as well as in India it has created a furor that the data analytics firms services were used by Indian political parties too. So this is the issue. However, Facebook CEO also said that personalized advertisement driven by data analytics will remain the mainstay of Facebook's business model. So that is how Facebook functions. It is a free service to everyone. So this business model would continue, has been stated. Also, several senators have pointed out that this was high time that a legislative regulation should be put in place to govern the digital sector. So this may also be considered in the future. It has also said that Facebook should have data access control such that there is an opt-in rather than opt-out. So privacy is important. So privacy means the people are sharing things. It should be, if they opt in, then only they can share freely. Otherwise, it should be opt-out. Means privacy should be given highest preference as such. Then next is civic work threatens to sink Charminar. So Archaeological Survey of India has raised an alarm over this pipeline work which is being carried out just 20 meters from the iconic structure in Hyderabad, the Charminar. So this historic monument, which is 425 years old, is now facing a threat because of these underground pipeline works which Hyderabad Municipal Corporation is undertaking. So this monument, ASI highlights, is a limestone mortar structure. And water seepage here which will happen because of these pipelines will result in capillary action, and this mortar will become brittle and the monument will become unstable over a period of time. So it says that under Ancient Monuments, Archaeological Sites and Remains Acts also protection needs to be provided. But also this act has actually been amended by the central government in Jan 2018, and now infrastructure projects are also allowed within a 100-meter radius of the protected monument. So this was amendment also done. So there is this tussle between infrastructure development, modern infrastructure, and culture, and ancient architecture, ancient medieval architecture. So this is the Charminar here. You can see the construction work, pipeline work going on. So this monument was built in 1591 AD by Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, who was the 5th ruler of the Qutub Shahi dynasty in the south here. So this Qutub Shahi dynasty, the Charminar was built. It is on the east bank of Musi river here in Hyderabad in Telangana state now. So this is a global icon of Hyderabad as such too. The Charminar, it says it's an Islamic architecture. It was supposed to be used as a mosque. So this was also built at the center of Hyderabad to commemorate the eradication of plague in the city. So this is there. It was intended to serve as a mosque and a madrasa. It has the Charminars, the minarets, after which it has been so named. The next is rain forecast worries wheat farmers in Punjab and Haryana. So widespread rain has taken place in the past few days in parts of Punjab and Haryana, and this could delay the harvesting of the standing wheat crop by at least a week. Generally, harvesting takes place in the start of April, but then there are concerns that fresh western disturbances could bring more rain in the region. So Indian Meteorological Department has also forecasted so. So this is increasing the worry of farmers, because if there is rain, then the wheat crop would absorb the moisture and harvesting would be delayed. So wheat crop, which is a rabi crop, the main rabi crop, that is the winter crop, it is sown in late October, December, and harvesting starts from the first week of April. So here the concerns are raised because of weather forecast of further rainfall too. Then next is consent of bride inherent in Hindu marital law, Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court is hearing a case in which it is said that without the consent of bride, the marriage does not stand. But then the Supreme Court has said that this consent of bride in marriage is inherent part of the Hindu law. The Hindu Marriage Act specifically says that forceful marriage or fraudulent marriage without the woman's voluntary consent is invalid. So it is inherent in the law. There is no need for the Supreme Court to reiterate it. Because in this particular case, the woman is demanding that the marriage be nullified because it was without a consent. But then CGI Justice Mishra said that any woman subjected to forceful or fraudulent marriage has the liberty to initiate civil action in an appropriate court. And the judicial declaration on this cannot come. Recently, we also saw the Hajj case in which the Supreme Court castigated the Kerala High Court for nullifying a marriage. So again, it does not, the CGI said that they do not want to commit the same mistake again. So the civil court can be approached. Then next is Hyderabad to tap rooftop solar potential. So this is regarding Hyderabad. The rooftop solar potential here has been calculated to be of 1730 megawatts, of which 1193 megawatts can be generated from residential areas. So there is a need to tap this solar potential here. Also 178 megawatts can be from public and semi-public use category, infrastructure like Osmania University campus, airports, railway stations, metro stations, etc. So this was a study which was undertaken as such by Greenpeace India and Gujarat Energy Research and Management Institute. So the rooftop solar potential is highlighted here. India lags in this target of achieving rooftop solar capacity, and steps need to be taken here. So this you can see is the detail regarding Hyderabad city specifically. Then next is Center to relook at Hajj bar on disabled. So Center has told the Delhi High Court that it has advised the Hajj Committee of India to examine this sensitive provision that bars differently abled persons for applying for Hajj pilgrimage. So the Hajj pilgrimage which is undertaken, so there is this Hajj policy which the government has in place, and then according to the new Hajj policy, persons with disabilities cannot apply for pilgrimage to Mecca. So a petition has been filed in the Delhi High Court challenging this provision because it says it goes against the provisions of the recently passed act also, that is the Disabilities Act, Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. So the Mental Health Act, etc., National Mental Health Policy are violated because of such a policy under the new Hajj policy which was issued in November 2017. But the Ministry of Minority Affairs clarifies that the same old policy was, taken forward in this aspect. So there has been no change made, but now it has said that it has advised the Hajj Committee of India to examine this sensitive provision. So according to the policy, persons suffering from polio, tuberculosis and other diseases like leprosy, AIDS, again communicable diseases, they and also handicaps cannot apply for pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj pilgrimage. Then next is 99% of MGNREGA wages remain unpaid. So this is the finding of an NGO, NREGA Sangharsh Morcha. So this organization has found that 99% of MGNREGA wages have remained unpaid in the month of April 2018. So actually the central government has initiated this National Electronic Fund Management System. So this system introduced in Jan 2016 is to streamline the process of MGNREGA payment. The direct payment takes place. So whatever fund transfer orders come for MGNREGA wage payments are sent to this Public Finance Management, and they have to send the fund directly into the accounts of the beneficiaries. So this National Electronic Fund Management System, though it has been in place, it has resulted in delays because these fund transfer orders are not processed. So you can see 99% for the month of April, and even for the month of March, 86% of FTOs are yet to be processed, and 64% even for the month of February. So there are these delays, and these are because of delays in the release of funds by the ministry. So Ministry of Rural Development actually has to send these funds to the National Electronic Fund Management System so that they can make the payments. But that is not being done by the government. It said that government froze the processing of FPOs worth 3,000 crores due to lack of MGNREGA funding. So even Supreme Court had instructed the government to ensure that workers are paid within 15 days of doing work. But still we see fund transfer orders not being processed. So digitization of payment of wages also fails if there is funding not provided for a particular scheme. So this is regarding the Electronic Fund Management System. It's a tool developed by NIC, National Informatics Center, to facilitate online transfer of funds to the beneficiary accounts exclusively for MGNREGA. But it is not functioning as we see right now because of lack of funds. Then next is Navy's indigenization plan chalked out, Lanba. So this is Chief Admiral of the Navy, Sunil Lanba. He said that Self-reliance is the only mantra for meeting the requirements of the Indian Navy, and the Indian Navy plans for indigenization. So there's a plan in place. Also, recent developments like Astra missile system, which is being developed by DRDL, has been transferred to Bharat Dynamics Limited in Hyderabad. So technology transfer has taken place so that production can take place in India. Even so, you should know about this Astra missile. It's an air-to-air missile. You can see it has a maximum range of 110 km in head-on and 20 km in tail chase. So it's an air-to-air missile. It will target another missile in air. Then this is another one is Varunastra, which is a torpedo being developed by Bharat Dynamics Limited, and even an anti-thermal grenade being developed by Pune Ordnance Factory. So this is regarding Varunastra also. It can carry 250 kg of explosives at the speed of 40 nautical miles an hour. So this the Varunastra is actually targeting stealth submarines. So it can function both in deep and littoral waters in intense countermeasure environment. So this is anti-submarine torpedo. The next is armed forces will buy the products they need. So this is Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who has said at the Defense Expo that Indian armed forces could not be forced to buy more domestically produced military equipment if they did not meet the requirements of the armed forces. The Army, Navy and Air Force have to procure more indigenous products as much as possible, but they could not be done if the products do not match their specifications. So this is important. Also, defense production policy is being finalized by the government. So this will also be soon coming into made public. So the draft has already been made public and has been released for public consultation on it as such. To the final policy is being formulated now. The next is Aadhaar linkage will protect people, UIDAI. So this is the Aadhaar case going on in the Supreme Court. The 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court is hearing this matter, and the UIDAI chief has now said that Aadhaar is actually to protect people from crime. But then there are allegations raised by petitioners that Aadhaar insistence for all is stigmatizing people. Everybody feels that they are under the government scanner for financial fraud like terrorism, tax evasion, etc. So this actually has been likened by the Additional Solicitor General in the court that when we travel by air, all passengers are frisked. That does not mean that all of us are hijackers, but it is done to protect us from hijacking. But the judge here in the bench, Justice A.K. Sikri, countered that this frisking is done only for those who choose to travel by air. But with Aadhaar, it is mandatory. Aadhaar is asking all the citizens of the country, 128 crore people, to mandatorily link their mobile SIMs, bank accounts and PAN cards with Aadhaar cards. So there is no choice here. And also this measure, it is said that when it is uniformly applied, the Additional Solicitor General says that its measure is uniformly applied to all. So it does not mean everyone is guilty, but it is just for the protection of the people as such. Also, another judge, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, highlighted that levels of intrusion may be justified in some cases, like if it is for national security, for terrorism, it is justified. But why people should be subjected to such intrusion of privacy only to prevent chances of tax evasion? So that is a point being raised, on which also the counter argument given by Additional Solicitor General was that tax evasion is also amounting to 33,000 crores. So this is a serious problem, and Aadhaar linkage is intending to curb this. So the arguments are still going on in the Supreme Court. So this is the present scenario. The next is charge sheet reveals Kathua horror. So this is regarding the Kathua rape and murder case, in which an 8-year-old girl was allegedly raped by 6 men who held her in captivity in a small village temple in Kathua district in Jammu and Kashmir. This girl belonged to Bakarwal tribe, and it is said in the charge sheet which has been filed by the police now that this was a carefully planned strategy to remove the minority nomadic community from the area. So this is the case which has come forth now. You should know about this Bakarwal tribe. It is a nomadic tribe based in Pir Panjal and Himalayan mountains of South Asia. They are mainly goat herders and shepherds. They are also called as Dhangar. So this Bakarwals, as the name suggests, Bakar means goat or sheep, and Wal means one who takes care of. So they are actually goat herders and shepherds. And by religion, they can be either Hindu or Muslim, but most of them belong to Muslim religion as such, and they are strict Muslims. Then next is cattle rules, course correction. So we saw how the cattle rules have changed. So these are the details provided here. So cattle for slaughter was not allowed to be brought in the animal market, but now this has been allowed. This whole section that no animal, if it was intended for slaughter, could be brought to an animal market has been removed in the new rules. So how the old rules have changed is shown here. So even the conditions have been reduced, mandatory conditions for the monitoring committee. So they have been relaxed as such too. Even here, the mentioning of animal slaughter, also considered as animal market, that aspect has been removed from the definition of animal market. And even market location, as we saw yesterday, that it was not allowed. Markets cannot be set up 25 km from state border and 50 km from international border. So this restriction has also been removed now. Though it says that they should not transport or should not be used for transport of animals, source for transport of animals. The next is MGNREGA Ministry at odds over nutrient packets. So this is regarding Women and Child Development Ministry. The minister MGNREGA Gandhi has differences with the ministry, her own ministry. So the ministry officials actually are, this is about nutrient packets. So nutrient packets have to be provided to pregnant and lactating women and children. So this nutrient packets are take-home rations for pregnant women, lactating mothers, as well as children between the age of 6 months to 3 years. So these are provided by the ministry. MGNREGA Gandhi wants energy-dense factory-made packets to be handed over, while the ministry is in favor of sourcing these food items from such as the locally made food items, locally available ingredients being used like dalia, khichdi, prepared by self-help groups, women. So this is the conflict here. So this has been highlighted as such. Even the meeting which will take place with the Niti Aayog board, here also this issue is being raised as such. Even the newly constituted National Nutrition Council is to have its first meeting on April 18. So this also has to finalize the agenda. Actually, the ministry, the secretary in the ministry argues that within the scheme itself, this is the scheme spoken of, you can see, supplementary nutrition as such. So supplementary nutrition mission, this scheme itself mandates, the rules here mandate engagement of self-help groups. And the official says that this recommendation of using factory-made food would result in centralization and corporatization of Anganwadi food. So they are against this. And MGNREGA Gandhi, she argues that daily allocation of ₹8, which is done for this nutritional food, should be spent on nutrition and not for generating livelihood for women of self-help groups. But what's the harm if both are done together? So this is the case here. So this is regarding National Nutrition Mission 2, which commenced from the financial year 2017-18. It's a 3-year period mission as such. So it targets to reduce stunting, undernutrition, anemia, and low birth weight. And under this National Nutrition Mission, the National Nutrition Council is also going to have its meeting now, the first meeting. The next is Supreme Court seeks Shah Jahan's signature in Taj case. So Supreme Court has asked the Uttar Pradesh Sunni Waqf Board to show documents signed by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan to prove its claim that it owns the Taj Mahal. So UP Sunni Waqf Board is claiming so in the Supreme Court. Shah Jahan actually built Taj Mahal in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal in 1631. So if the Taj Mahal has been handed over to the Waqf Board, then there should be a Waqfnama. It's a deed through which a person expresses his intention to donate a property or land to a charitable, Waqf board or for any charitable purpose. So this is the case here. The Archaeological Survey of India on the other side argues that this monument is not belonging to the Waqf board. They argue that Shah Jahan could not have signed any document. He was imprisoned by his son Aurangzeb at the Agra fort in 1658, and he died in 1666 at the fort itself. And after that, the monuments, all these heritage structures were taken over by the British after the Mughal rule. And after India's independence, these monuments came under Government of India. So Sunni Waqf Board cannot claim the ownership of Taj Mahal. Then next is Petroleum Finance Ministers can award hydrocarbon blocks. So the Union Cabinet has approved a proposal to delegate the power to award hydrocarbon blocks to successful bidders by Petroleum and Finance Ministers. So it says that the original policy, actually the HELP, Hydrogen Exploration Licensing Policy, is the new policy which has replaced NELP, New Exploration and Licensing Policy, in 2016. So this NELP policy, actually under which the entire procedure is there. So this empowered committee of secretaries consider the bid evaluation criteria, and then they conduct negotiation with bidders whenever necessary, and then they make the recommendation to the cabinet committee on economic affairs, and then the blocks are awarded. So approval is done by CCEA, and then after that ministerial consultation takes place, interministerial consultations, which is a lengthy time consuming process. So that is why now under the hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy, the Petroleum and Finance Ministers, after international competitive bidding, can allocate blocks to successful bidders based on the recommendation of empowered committee of secretaries. So this simplification has been done by the Union Cabinet. Another decision which has been taken by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs is that Coal India Limited has been allowed, along with its subsidiaries, to extract coal bed methane in their coal bearing areas without applying for a license or lease under the rules. So coal bed methane has also quite often been in news. So we'll see that also. And this is the difference between the old and new policies, exploration policies, NELP and HELP. Basic difference is that NELP was a profit sharing model, means after the break even takes place, whatever investment is done by the successful bidder, after breaking even, whatever profit they get, that is shared with the government. And in HELP, it is a revenue sharing model. So revenue, whatever revenue is generated, is shared by both. So both have an equal stake here. So that is the case. And of course, there are other aspects you can see. So cost recovery takes place here and it's not applicable here. Then coal bed methane, you should know this. Coal bed methane is actually methane which is formed along with coal. So wherever coal is found, the methane is also formed here, because coal is microporous solid and has an enormous surface area. So absorbing gas absorption takes place, and coal becomes both a source rock as well as a reservoir for methane. So this coal bed methane represents more than 90 to 95% of the gas volume here. So this coal bed methane is a new source which has been used to extract gas and develop for energy purposes. It's a fuel. Then next is Singapore Exchange to offer 3 new Indian derivative products. So 2 months after Indian Stock Exchange's forced Singapore Exchange to terminate its hugely popular SGX Nifty future contracts. So these SGX Nifty future contracts is a Singapore exchange which is having this contract, but then it's a derivative product. Derivative product means that its value is dependent on Nifty. Nifty is the index of National Stock Exchange. So it is linked to Nifty. So people who want to invest in Nifty, rather than that, they invest in SGX Nifty future contracts, because SGX, as its advantages, it has low trading costs and attractive taxes. So global investors invest here rather than in Indian indices. So that is why Indian stock exchanges had refused to share details with the Singapore Exchange and had forced it to terminate these its popular contracts, future contracts based on Nifty. But now Singapore Stock Exchange has announced that it will offer 3 new Indian derivative products from June. So when this from June 4, SGX Nifty futures will cease to be operational, but they cannot be traded on. But other equity derivative products will be introduced by SGX. So this has been announced as such. So here you can see regarding SGX2. So Nifty futures turnover in India and Singapore is shown. On NSE it is 53.7% and 46.3% is in SGX, Singapore Stock Exchange. So that is a huge value. Then next is the last news item. Center should make serious corrections in AI's sale terms. So the 2 major domestic carriers, Indigo and Jet Airways, have announced that they are pulling out of the race for bidding for Air India. Also, Tata Group has disinclined to bid for Air India. So there is now a viewpoint that there should be serious corrections to the terms of sale laid down by the government. So the key challenges here are the huge debt burden. It's a 33,000 crore debt burden which Air India has. So this should be completely written off, is one of the major demands from the industry. Also, government stake is decided to be kept at 24%, but then it is said that this can also be further reduced even to just a single golden share. And another challenge is the full transfer of Air India staff. The successful bidder will have to take over the entire staff, but then there can be again unionization and concerns. So if union disruptions take place, the unexpected costs come, government will not give any commitment on it. So no one will invest billions of dollars in Air India in such a scenario. So that has been highlighted here. Also, there is a requirement for the bidder to operate Air India at arm's length from its other businesses. So this is also a restriction. Mandatory IPO, initial public offering, and freezing of bidders' shareholding structure is also been, mandated. So this again is a restriction which may result in this bidding not attracting, potential investors. So the center's deadline for completing the transaction has also been the end of the year. So this is too quick. This is unrealistic because acquisitions take time. So this is also been highlighted by industry experts. So these are the news items. Thank you.